After all the narratives, after all the talking points and arguments and debates, we finally have a lot more answers to all of our questions, especially to the draft. What is going on, guys? What is going on, 27 Squad? Welcome back into another video. Just want to let you guys know that in the beginning of August, starting in the beginning of August, we are going to be introducing a new sponsor to the channel. I won't say who it is yet until my video in August, and I'm very excited to be introducing this sponsor, and we'll be running this sponsor throughout the NFL season. It'll be a great way for you guys to help support the channel and also to help these videos get a lot better. Also, I'm going to be using my TikTok a lot more, especially during the season, where I want to try to go live both on YouTube and TikTok. So if you guys can, please follow me on TikTok if you guys have it. The link will be in the description below. Just follow me on TikTok. I don't know how many followers I need. The numbers vary on how much you need just to go live, but I really just want to be able to live stream both on TikTok and YouTube during the NFL games. So that being said, let's get into the video. Now, this was the penultimate episode to the Hard Knocks with the New York Giants. I will be honest with you, I thought this was going to be during the draft, but this is all the events leading up to the draft. It was a little bit of a kind of bamboozle. I really thought it was going to be the draft. We're going to be talking about it, but towards the end, they start getting ready for the draft. They go over their draft plans, and then next episode, the last episode, will be the draft and a little bit of OTAs. But man, we got a lot of information in this one. Starting out with the Giants, whether it be the scouts, Schoen, Brian Daboll going to different pro days. We've seen them in multiple pro days in this episode, most notably LSU, Penn State, Notre Dame, and Washington. That's just to name a few, and I believe that's the only ones that they showed. They had Carmen Brasillo, the Giants offensive lineman coach, at the Penn State pro day with Saquon Barkley there, and they were talking a little bit. Just watch a little bit of this.
Yeah, Runyon's pretty good, right?
Runyon's smart, tough, athletic enough.
Left, you up him left or right?
We'll see. Like, there's some versatility in the room, and Runyon brings us some center flex as well, so that we needed that as well with John Michael and the backups there.
I'm excited for John, though. He got like a little leadership qualities.
He does.
He was really excited for Illuminor, really excited for John Runyon, and, you know, asking what side John Runyon's going to play on. He really liked those guys over there. Carmen Brasillo referred to Jermaine Illuminor as his son. So I think the offensive line, in that respect, I have a lot more confidence in it than prior to when I saw this conversation. It seemed like Saquon Barkley was excited about it, and Carmen Brasillo having that camaraderie with guys like Jermaine Illuminor and getting some more talent in there like John Runyon. I'm a little bit more hopeful in this offensive line. Next was something I really enjoyed watching. This was the interviews, like the top 30 visits and stuff like that, where the prospects will come into the individual teams that request them interviews and stuff like that, and they kind of do it in bulk, right? Where they do like interviews in bulk, where almost like, you know, I worked for UPS in the post office. They do the same thing where they get all the different candidates and they bring them in and they have like interview meetings and stuff like that, and they kind of test you on stuff like that. And so you saw Marvin Harrison, Rome Odunze, and Malik Neighbor, and Mike Groh, the Giants wide receiver coach, was there kind of leading the meeting and asking them a bunch of questions, having them answer. It was almost like school, really. And John Mara asked Mike Groh, who does he prefer out of those top three guys? And over Marvin Harrison, he said Malik Neighbors. Moving on to the meeting between the top front office guys. I think this was with the scouts as well. I don't remember. But they're in the war room and they're talking about quarterbacks and possibly trading up for a quarterback. And Joe Schoen is asking Brian Daboll, and the rest of the guys for that matter, would you trade up for Jayden Daniels? And with no hesitation, Brian Daboll says, yes, I would trade up for Jayden Daniels. You could see that during these past couple of episodes, Brian Daboll looked more and more like he liked Jayden Daniels a lot. And you could tell because he kind of asked him a lot of pressing questions and was testing him. He seemed like he took a lot more liking to Jayden Daniels more than the rest of the quarterbacks that they interviewed. That's just from what we saw. And Brian Daboll then pulls up a list of all the quarterbacks drafted in the top 10 in the past 10 years, and they go over the hit rate. And you can see it was almost like a 50% hit rate. It was really bad in the beginning, but then started to improve over time. And it wasn't very, like, I guess, convincing for a lot of people, especially in the war room. Like, hey, do we trade up for a quarterback? There's a chance we may miss on a guy. It seems more likely than not, or at least a 50% chance. Right, as they're talking about, the guys that missed and the guys that hit, Joe Schoen then asked Brian Daboll, what's your take on the hit rate? What's your take on the information that we just laid out? And Brian Daboll says,
what do you take from that, Dabes? Take the Stroud.
I thought that was a mic drop type answer. Take a quarterback. Take a good quarterback. He didn't kind of scurry off from it and say, well, man, I don't know. Maybe it's not right to take a quarterback. I don't know. He just said, hey, make your quarterback pick and don't miss. And then they kind of throw it back because this is like the 20-year anniversary pretty much of drafting Eli Manning. Exactly 20 years, where back in 2004, the Giants pulled off something that never happened before in NFL history, and we haven't seen it again. A draft day trade between two top 5 prospects that were drafted at the same time. Like literally, the Giants drafted Phillip Rivers with the 4th pick, and Eli Manning got drafted by the Chargers with the 1st pick, and they swapped picks during the draft. Insane. An unprecedented type draft move. And then they threw it back to Ernie Accorsi, where he had some really good words.
There is no price that's too high if you're right, but you better be right.
That's been pretty much the predicament or the theme of this draft is if you were to absolutely trade the farm, which we'll get into the conversation with Elliott Wolf just in a second, but the compensation that Elliott Wolf wanted, he did say it was a little bit of an exaggeration, but Elliott Wolf wanted basically the Giants' top draft picks in like the first 3 rounds in the next 2 drafts, and it's just not good for team building. Even if you were to get a quarterback like a Drake May, it's just not good for team building. And Ernie Accorsi saying you can make these crazy draft picks, you can make these historical big-time trades, but you better be right. And it all depends on how convicted you are of these quarterbacks. And if you're not convicted enough, I wouldn't say to pull the trigger. Now, we painted John Mara to be pretty much a bad guy, a villain, kind of a guy like Littlefinger in Game of Thrones or Larys Strong in House of the Dragon, where he's kind of poking his head in things, kind of instigating a bit, trying to throw a little bit of barriers here, his opinion here, trying to sway a certain side here and there, just playing politics. But I don't really think John Mara did much to really impact anything that happened in this offseason. You guys know that he really wanted Saquon Barkley there, whether it be for the reason that he really loved Saquon Barkley as a player or he loved his name more than anything. It doesn't matter. He really wanted him back, but ultimately that did not happen, and Joe Schoen did not go through with it. And it seemed like John Mara, although he was a little broken by it, he seemed okay by it, and they moved on. And then with this decision for a quarterback, him out of all people, I would have thought would be extremely against getting a quarterback. Now, I don't know if that's because the cameras are on and he knows he's being recorded, but it doesn't seem like he was that upset about the Giants getting a quarterback should Joe Schoen feel that convicted and the rest of the front office feel that convicted of getting that said quarterback. He's the one that brought up the Ernie Accorsi thing and how, he was obviously the owner during that time. He's been the owner since the beginning of time. And he reflects on Ernie Accorsi being extremely convicted about Eli Manning and how it worked. So he was saying, listen, if we pull this trade off, I'm going to have palpitations about it, right? Because he's going to be nervous about giving up that much trade capital, that much draft capital. But he said, if you are convicted and you want this quarterback, then he pretty much said, then I want this quarterback, then I want what you want.
I got to stand by my conviction. That is, if you guys have a conviction on a quarterback, that's what we do.
Yeah.
Like 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Very similar situation.
And I thought he was really supportive. I really liked his words talking to Joe Schoen. He voices concerns, he voices nervousness, but he said, listen, do not let me stop you from getting a quarterback. Go and get it. All right, now is probably the biggest point of this episode is when Joe Schoen is finally talking to Elliott Wolf, the GM of the New England Patriots, on what they're going to do at 3. Now, obviously, this is before the draft, and even before the draft, now, the public, the fans, the media did not have access to this, but before the draft, the Giants and the New England Patriots already talked, and the Patriots were not interested in moving down unless they had a crazy offer.
I think we're pretty heavy with being that are sitting here thinking.
Okay.
We're in this situation where we just probably need to sit and pick a quarterback.
So you heard it there. It seemed like Wolf was pretty hard stance that he was not moving. And I really don't want to hear this. Joe Schoen didn't try hard enough. He was supposed to trade every single pick that he could to get a quarterback. And I'm sorry, that is just not how team building works. That is just not how the draft works. There is a line you draw for every prospect. It doesn't matter who it is, maybe even Caleb Williams. Now, Caleb Williams' line is probably a lot higher than a guy like Drake May or Jaden Daniels, but there is still a line nonetheless. And it was very clear that the Patriots wanted a groundbreaking, historic offer to get Drake May, and the Giants are just moving up 3 spots. So from there on, the Giants knew they were not getting to up to 3. They were still hoping for a quarterback to fall to them in this draft, but they knew they were not going to 3, so now they had to come up with contingency plans. And I loved how they went about this. They pulled John Mara, Brian Dable, and Joe Schoen in the meeting room, and they're going over different scenarios of what they would do should they not A, get a quarterback, or B, not end up with Malik Neighbors. They were in trade talks with the Chicago Bears to trade down to 9 if they missed out on Malik Neighbors. If Malik Neighbors went to the Chargers at 5, they were going to trade down to 9 and hope that they got Roma Dunze or Brock Bowers. I will be honest with you, although I think Brock Bowers is a fantastic player, I would have flipped this table right here if we drafted Brock Bowers at 9. I would have flipped the table. And listen to the voice and body language of Joe Schoen here.
All right, so then we don't get a quarterback here. We're rolling with Daniel, and we're gonna try to get him a weapon. That's if it doesn't work out. Are we good with that?
Yep.
Now listen, I know that Joe Schoen kind of literally pounded the table for Malik Neighbors and said, let's go Malik Neighbors, please be there. But I really think at the end of the day, they still wanted a quarterback collectively. I think Joe Schoen, Brian Dable, the rest of the scouts wanted a quarterback in this draft because of what he said there. He's like, listen, we don't end up with a quarterback here, which means that is option A. We don't end up with a quarterback here. I guess we're just going to get a number 1 receiver for Daniel Jones, and you know, we're sticking with Daniel, right? Like, he kind of sounded a little disappointed there. And I don't think I'm reading into that whatsoever. That is what I took from it, and I honestly think that's true. You guys know I'm not here to spin narratives. You guys know if something happens that I don't want to happen, I'm not going to spin it to my liking. I'm going to call it how I see it. So that's the end of the episode, guys. Let me know what your thoughts in the comment section below. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Don't worry, I will be covering training camp. Training camp is starting this week. It's going to be a lot of uploading on this channel, and I'm introducing the sponsor the beginning of literally a week from now, in August 1st. So gonna be I'm so excited for everything that's going to be happening on this channel. None of it would be possible without you guys. You guys are like, I know I only have 7,000 subscribers. Listen, guys, let's get to 8,000 subscribers. Let's get to 8,000 subscribers before week 1 of the NFL season. We are so close, so close. But you guys have literally been changing my life. I know I only have 7,000 subscribers, almost 8, but you guys have been changing my life in crazy ways, and the support on the channel is greatly appreciated. I want to thank you guys from the bottom of my heart. I will never get sick of showing you guys my appreciation for you. So thank you guys so much. Leave a like if you guys enjoyed. Subscribe if you guys are new to the channel. Subscribe to my TikTok or follow me on TikTok. And that being said, I am Kid Blue, and I'll see you guys in the next video.